I have both animals on me right now.
Yeah, they are very, very needy today.
The minute that we start recording and talking,
Love
it's
it.
ridiculous.
All of a sudden, it was like, okay, we're matching.
Okay, we're matching.
And I'm like, I'm not ready yet.
Yeah, no,
I'm not ready yet.
I was like,
let's look at everything.
what are they
again.
talking about?
Pangs of guilt. I felt so guilty when this came to a head and was thinking like, why can't I afford this or figure it out? Or what? Like, I don't know, falling into this trap of, oh my God, is it my fault? Welcome back to another episode of Who's Your Daddy podcast, where we work to demystify the world of surrogacy, adoption, foster to adopt, and all of the non-traditional paths to parenthood as we're going through our own time
Of trying to build a family.
Yeah. I'm like our own time.
It's a time.
Of struggle.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good.
Yeah. Just heads up, this is the last episode of the season.
We just, holidays are coming up. We don't want to put anything on anybody's calendars. It's like the busiest time of
including
year.
ourselves.
Including ourselves. We don't want to put ourselves on other people's calendars.
It's like, I am so happy, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm excited for a break a little bit. Producing and running this podcast has been fantastic. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of work.
It takes a lot of time.
Yeah. Coming up to the holidays, spending some time with our families, having a little bit more travel on our plates. It's going to be a good time to refresh and figure out what's going on in our own lives. And also just like continuing the process of surrogacy. I think taking this break is going to allow us to just be more present in our own lives and have more time week to week to maybe work on, making an actual baby.
I think this is something that we really like to do. But when we started, we had done a lot of preparation.
Oh my God, so much.
And
yes.
Now we've sort of come up on the point where we're like, oh crap, we're out of like episodes in the bank. Now we gotta figure out how to like squeeze in time with like being gone in Japan for a week, and then Matthew being gone in Puerto Rico for a week, and then now we were just in Hawaii, and then we're going somewhere next weekend.
I added on. You've taken on a lot more days of work over the past few months, but I've also started doing nursing again a little bit in a small way, giving vaccinations to people. It's wonderful, but once or twice a week, it adds up, and so it does take time. But the good news is we've gotten a lot better at editing podcasts.
So good,
so much faster. To be honest with you, at the beginning of this, it took like the first podcast episode, I think took me maybe 4 full work days.
Oh, 4 full work days.
Full work days.
Oh.
To edit that. Yeah.
It took me like 8 hours for sure.
We had to learn a whole new program. Anyway, whole bunch of stuff. But I mean, this podcast is part of our journey, so we got to dissect it, This is now part of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's been fun. I've enjoyed it. It is, a decent amount of time for some sort of ad revenue to end up with like $15, but like that's not the point of it. It was because
oh my God. I had to stifle a shout. Jesus.
Were you screaming internally?
I was laughing but also crying and screaming internally. No, that is not the point.
I think it's super interesting when people are like, oh, you have a podcast, you're like rolling in it. It's like, no.
Funny.
I've spent probably like 3 weeks of my life like devoted
hey girl,
to this
thing.
Is
a passion project.
Yeah, and whoever is running these ads is like, here's $5, like literally less than 20. So this is just...
I also heard someone was receiving ads for guns.
Yeah, sorry,
or something.
That's not...
That is not.
We did not.
We just know.
Yeah,
what's happening.
We might be able to gatekeep those a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. Hey, we're new here.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, not okay.
Oh, so fun. Yeah, great. We thought we would take this last episode to kind of reflect and look back over this summer and early fall. We started this podcast in the middle of June. And really, we started with a whole bunch of interviews, learning about the process of surrogacy, adoption, foster to adopt, while we're making our own decisions and going through the process of looking for a surrogate. Now, several months later, here we are at the end of the season, and we're going to talk about kind of like where we started and where we're ending.
Yeah, I mean, where we're starting, I think that there's just also stuff that's happened in between that we didn't touch on too much about, and I think we're just going to kind of recap like where we're at, what's sort of happened, because when we interview people, we hear their story like front to back, right? And like, but we're in like the center of it right now.
And what's hard is that when you're going through it, when it's actively something going on, you can't really talk about it until it's through, because you don't have all of the pieces yet, and you need to be sensitive to all the parties that are involved as well, and make sure that you're not like oversharing or damaging or anything like that.
100%.
This is a really touchy industry in general to be involved in, because it is so intimate with the things that you're working with. We're talking about pregnancy and having a child and starting a family, and those are all really big things. So all that to say, we've had to kind of like tread lightly with what we talk about and when.
Did you want to go back to like, did you just want to start with having a potential surrogate and like go forward from there and like kind of what's happened, or did you want to go back any further?
No, I think just talking about the summer would be really good. We really did recap earlier in the season,
right?
What had happened previously.
And I think where we're at is essentially we've just been looking for a surrogate for a while.
This summer has been all about trying to find a surrogate.
Yes.
And we've had 3 potentials.
First one was like, I don't know, we felt really good about, and like things were looking
super positive,
but then something about medical came back, and
that's what it was.
It was sort of an immediate no.
This is somebody that I found on Facebook. There was some medical stuff that came up, and that it was a little bit crushing, because I was talking with her for about a month, and
that's the other thing.
We had talked over FaceTime several times. You were there involved as well, of course you're the other half of this, but
thank you for acknowledging
but
that.
I mean heads up, I've been taking care of the Facebook train for
a lot of it is like when we're at home together, we're working together, we're doing stuff like this. When I'm at work, I feel like his brain is able to like kind of go and do all of the life things.
I might go on Facebook and chat with people, and then maybe do a call or two if Michael's not able to be home So I had talked with her a lot more than you had, but we built up this kind of relationship over the course of a month and a half. It could have even been 2 months, honestly. I think it was the beginning of June when we started talking, and towards the end of July when we found out it wasn't going to work. But all that to say, the way that I've explained this to other people, and I think I might have said this in the previous episode, is that surrogacy, at least this part of the process, it feels a lot like this building up of hope, kind of like a roller coaster. You're going up, and you're feeling great, everything's good, and then it all just drops in a second, but you don't know that that's going to happen. So in this case, it was a medical thing came back and was just like, nope, it's not going to work. Like it's just an absolute no. And that sucked, because we had worked up until that point to have all of these details in line, and it looked really great from our point of view. But then to have that one thing come back and say, no, that's like it. And it basically is like, okay, well, we can't go further from here, and we have to start all over. So it was back to Facebook, back to the drawing board. We're looking again.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we, I can't say too much, but we started this journey not so independent. Now we're very independent. But in between that, we were contacted by somebody who we had mentioned actually literally on a previous episode, who was going to help us. And that lasted through, what would you say, that was our second or third potential?
End of July, possibly beginning of August, through beginning of October.
Okay. And they helped us with, you said that we'd had 3 potentials.
They
helped us with the second one, right?
They helped us with the second one, correct.
So we moved from the first one
and
onto
this
the
is
second
kind of embarrassing
one.
Because we did, I mean, again, you have to be careful with information, but we really thought that the company that we were working with was in it for the long haul and with us, and definitely going to see this through. And we believed that, because that's what they told us. And to have that kind of fall out from under our feet pretty rapidly was unexpected. And so when we mentioned them a couple episodes ago, I didn't realize that we were
literally 1 or 2.
2 episodes
even
ago.
know.
Not this episode, but
Yeah,
or
yeah.
not the last episode, but the previous. I didn't know that we would have to come on and be like, oh, just kidding. We're actually not working together anymore.
Yeah. And I mean, it was a bizarre situation. We will cut whatever we feel like is not, maybe adequate or proper to say, but essentially they had reached out and they were like, "Hey, let me help put together like a team for you just to kind of see if anybody can help you out cuz you guys mentioned you're kind of going independently right now."
And this email came out of the blue. Like the person had said that they had seen our story online and they wanted to genuinely help us.
Mhm.
And I wrote back and I said, yeah, I mean, financially, surrogacy is difficult, understandably. Like, I don't know if we're going to be able to see this process through in our current situation. And I wasn't really feeling positively about working with a surrogacy agency at that point. I was pretty transparent about that. No, I was absolutely transparent about that. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about surrogacy agencies, and we are looking at just doing this independently, and I don't know if I want additional help.
Yeah.
And so,
Which I was more like, "Hey, the more people on our
right.
team, the better."
And it was really on the consultation company's part of saying like, no, we want to help you, and we think that this could be a great press opportunity.
Right. It was essentially going to be a trade of our experience and their experience
Totally.
together, right? And then it was going to end up being, some type of mutually beneficial agreement. I have both animals on me right now.
Yeah, they are very, very needy today.
The minute that we start recording and talking,
Love
it's
it.
ridiculous.
Well, it's because we're on the couch. As soon as we sit on the couch, we're like, it's cuddling time.
I guess.
Yeah. Anyway.
So yeah, I mean, transparently, it was going to be some sort of like press, mutually beneficial. We get help, they get press, potentially. I mean, I don't know. Who cares? Who knows how many people would be interested in our story? But
and it felt like a really nice partnership because
Yeah.
in one moment we're thinking, okay, we're all on our own on this. We have to do this independently. How are we going to proceed from here? Not really sure. And then these people stepped in and they're like, oh, let us help you. And I'm like, okay, yeah, great. Yeah,
Mhm.
sure. Let's work together and see. And then they, connected us with that surrogacy agency that we mentioned a couple episodes ago. And I was wary. I was like, I don't know if I really want to be working with them. And they said,
And
well,
that's funny because I wasn't. I was always like, oh yeah, great, cool, whatever.
well,
If they can help.
so
sweet.
I have an email. And on the email, it says like, all right, well, we can work together in a couple different ways. Either we can just be like a resource to you if you have any questions and help like to facilitate things and just kind of like be there as a support, or we can be in a more active role in helping to find you a surrogate. And I kind of put it back out there and I was like, you know what? I am okay with either one of those routes, really. If it comes down to it, like if you find us a surrogate, great. We'll work together and we'll go that direction. But if we find a surrogate on our own and we're just kind of like pursuing this independently, I'd love to have you as a support. I'd love to have you as a resource. So that to me didn't necessarily mean you're taking control over this whole process.
Yeah, which ultimately is what it kind of ended up feeling like.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that was our struggle before was we didn't really feel like we had much say or control in the process of like finding our own surrogate and then going independent. We were able to take back some of that and say like, hey, no, we're responsible for our own journey. We can find ourselves a surrogate. We can put ourselves forward and try to find someone ourselves.
Yeah. So anyways, we found a potential match, potential surrogate, someone who was interested in doing it. They were relatively local.
I won't say how I know them, but I did know them. And so it wasn't somebody that I had never met before. It wasn't a stranger.
Yeah, which could have been a really cool part of the process, right?
Totally.
Like kind of having someone relatively local that you've known before be part of the process, and that can be a magical thing.
This came completely out of the blue too.
Yeah,
which I love. Like I love a good surprise, especially when this happened end of July, beginning of August, about almost simultaneously as we were figuring out that our first candidate wasn't going to work out because of medical reasons.
Yeah. And the second candidate, there's no hard feelings. There is no animosity. There's nothing. Like,
no, definitely.
It just didn't end up being a match. And that's completely fine.
Right.
The problem that we had was that we had this sort of like agency helping us, this consulting firm helping us. And essentially we had to, you know, kind of like, oh, here's our potential candidate. Like, I guess you guys just take it away. And they sort of just did all the things that they would do with any normal agency surrogate, where they like ask all these questionnaires and do all these like things that they would have done before they matched with anybody else. And that person was just sort of like weirded out that was happening. They were just like, I don't understand why I have to like fill out this questionnaire. We know each other like from the past. I don't know why you need to know what my favorite color is.
Yeah.
Like,
and that could be like an extremely
you know what I mean?
weird and impersonal way to enter into this relationship.
It was just sort of like,
because,
oh,
like,
you need to do all the things that we do now. And it's like, no, we just wanted you to help like coordinate the documents and like medical stuff and like whatever. I mean, honestly, you don't have to do any of that. Like, you just tell us what to do.
Right.
I don't know. It was weird.
So it's a little bit weird, like, you know, getting that degree of separation, because at first it was we're in direct communication with each other, and then all of a sudden this agency steps in and is like, now we're the point of contact. I could still communicate one-on-one with the potential surrogate, but now there was this agency that was taking control of the documents and the more logistical side of things. So it felt like there was this divide of like, these are the things that I can talk about with the potential surrogate, but the agency is now taking care of these official things, and like maybe some of the things that me and the potential surrogate are talking about are not the same things that the agency and the potential surrogate are talking about. And that is where you can run into trouble, because I had a different understanding than what the potential surrogate had, and the potential surrogate had a different understanding than what the agency had. And the agency, like, we all were on different pages because we're all having different channels of communication with one party cut out.
Yeah, like they were acting as a middleman, but then the triangle completed itself because you and the surrogate could talk, or the potential potential GC.
I just kept running into issues where it was like I would talk to the potential surrogate and she would express like, I don't know why this is happening. I don't know why this is taking so long. I don't know why we have to fill out this form, blah, blah, blah. And then like I'm going back to the agency and being like, why do we have to do all of this? And then they're going back to her, and, you know, it wasn't like, it wasn't fluid.
No,
it didn't
ended up
work.
it ended up being way more complicated, I feel like, than it needed to be. And like, I think it took a lot more of the potential GC's time than it really needed to.
100%.
Like,
yeah.
And I just didn't need to take that long.
Which is frustrating. And and that's kind of what you get into when you're involved with an agency, is they're going to do it officially. They're going to do it thoroughly. Hopefully, like that's what they're there for. But
yeah. Or like but some things are just
maybe
extraneous.
to a fault.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, is this even necessary? Like, is this worth billable time?
Right.
I don't know.
And I am grateful that, I mean, that agency was offering their services for free, which is awesome.
Again, yeah.
It totally. Just was like,
it just
free services that was
helpful.
Counterproductive.
Yeah. So ultimately, like, this whole middleman thing kind of came to a point where it was like, oh, we're going to have like this match day. And we were not clear on like contract terms really. And we wanted to make sure that we like understood
I want to clarify
this match day was going to be. And
yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah. I mean, do you have?
Yeah, no, because I admit fault in this too.
Yeah.
Because as we're progressing through August and beginning of September, I mean, at the beginning of it, when we first had the conversation with the potential surrogate, we mentioned base compensation, what we could afford, and how this played a role in our decision to go a more independent route. And, you know, we mentioned like, we're thinking in the range of this for our base compensation. Like, that's what we can feasibly afford. And you know, that's what we've come to our decision. And if that works, great. If not, then we're going to have to try to figure something else out. And, we brought it back and said, do your research, like, let us know what you're comfortable with. We'll just go from there. And there was a little bit of back and forth. We didn't talk about base comp or any of the benefits from that point on. After that first conversation,
It was like them contacting us saying like, hey, this is what she's thinking.
it was
and then
the
us
agency
being like, ooh, okay.
Yes, the agency was contacting us and saying, hey, this is what the potential surrogate's thinking. And then us contacting the agency being like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can do.
I feel like it was never like, okay, great, like let's move forward. It was always like
A bit wishy-washy.
I don't think I'm like not super comfortable with that right now.
Right. But then it got to a point where I did say, because we had a conversation and I'm like, hey, if we look at reducing this fee, if we take out this expense, if we look at doing this, do you think we could potentially get this right? And, this is a conversation over the phone, over text. I don't know how we had it, but
I think we sat down and we were looking at certain things
and took a moment.
Yeah.
And at that time, we're like, okay, maybe we can make this work. I think so. So I sent an email back and said, okay, I think that will work. Let's move forward. Let's get these boxes checked. Let's see what we can do. My assumption was that we were going to revisit these terms before making everything official.
Yeah. Well,
I thought we were going to have another conversation. I did
Mhm.
not think that was final. Like, okay, that's solidified in gold.
Mhm.
My mistake, because the understanding of the surrogacy agency was us saying, okay, great.
Like everything's great. Green light. Go
Let's
ahead.
move forward and then see. Was absolutely, we're never looking at this again. We're ready to go.
Maybe maybe that was our understanding. I just know that they were like, okay, in a couple days, like let's set up a meeting and have a match call. And I was just like, wait a minute, what is
happening?
What is the final?
What's the final?
Like, what are the final numbers? And I was just didn't have a good feeling about it. Like gut financial.
Well,
like,
there were some other things that were coming up too. That was like a little bit that gave us pause, and it was between the time of us being like tentatively okay with this base compensation and the benefits and this like set match meeting. So there was a couple week period between those two dates, and between those dates we were learning more about the insurance. That was one thing that came up, how there was the insurance was complicated with this situation, and it was going to end up costing a lot more than we were considering. And that was a financial impact. There was also we less certain about it.
We sat on that for a few weeks.
It was also I remember now. It was like also a first time surrogate that we're looking at.
Yeah.
We didn't know if everything would work. Like the medical records weren't completely perfect. It was, we had to consider some things. This was going to be a single embryo transfer.
Yeah.
Not a double embryo transfer, which is what we had originally looked out to doing. So I felt like we were making little sacrifices here and there as far as like, hey, okay, we wanted a double embryo transfer. Let's settle for a single embryo. That's fine. We can afford this price range, but they want this price range. Okay, let's see if that will work. We budgeted this much for insurance, but now insurance is going to be double or triple that. Yeah, let's keep looking and seeing. And I'm like, we're pursuing through these first steps, and I'm thinking, okay, if one of these things doesn't work out, then we're just gonna have to move on. But all of the medical stuff just kept clearing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, we're matching.
Okay, we're matching. And I was like,
I'm like, I'm not ready yet.
Yeah, no,
I'm not ready yet.
I was like,
let's look at everything.
Like, what are they talking about?
Right. I know. I felt like we needed to have a more formal conversation with the surrogacy agency and the consultation company before we set a match date.
So the whole story with this is that Matthew's known this person, has, they weren't like best friends or anything, but like we know each other. We met in person. They had expressed like, it's kind of annoying to have this middleman, and like I'm comfortable having like hard conversations with people. Like it doesn't bother me. Like I'd rather just be like open and honest and upfront. And it was like like going into the weekend, and we were supposed to meet on this Monday, and we were like, I don't think it's a great idea to have this meeting when we're like pretty wishy-washy on this, and like just have this gut feeling that like it's not what we were meant to do. I don't know. It just
like,
didn't feel right.
Go with your gut. Go with your gut.
So we called her and we like talked it out.
Well, I remember that day I first sent a text message because I didn't want to put anyone on the spot, and I just wanted to like we formulated a text message that just said like plainly, hey, we've looked at everything again, and we're not feeling
comfortable with the numbers that we think have been communicated to you via this agency, via us technically.
And it's like, granted, new information has come to light since then. Our financial situation changed throughout the summer. That was the other thing, is like, as we progressed from beginning of August to mid-September, our finances were a lot different.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I think people can understand that. Like, this year is just a little bit
up and
different,
down,
especially in the creator community. Like, it's way down. And that's not something that we factored in last year. You know, it's like this time last year was way different than this time this year.
Oh my God. Yeah,
way different. And so we just have to like tough realities, but there, like, again, she was great. There's no fault. We have no issues with that. However, we communicated that to this agency and this consulting firm, and then they sent back this email that was like, oh, we were so disappointed because we had worked really hard to get everything lined up for the match day. And I was like, when did you call us? Like, I didn't have a single conversation about this match day and like what it means and like what we're going to go over. You just set a match day, and like now you're saying you did all these things. I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
I mean, we set it up over email, but I mean, still, yeah, I know. Like, it was,
I don't know what that is. I don't even know what that entails.
I don't know what that entails either.
And I don't think it was laid out. It was just like, oh, it's a match day.
We didn't have a contract. We haven't gone through the physical medical screening. Yeah. We had just cleared the medical documents and talked about
what is
like
that? What does that
we
even
would
mean?
Agree to.
So anyway,
preliminarily, nothing was official. It was all conversation.
Yeah. So then like we decided like, okay, this isn't really going to work. Let's move on.
With the potential surrogate, to clarify.
With a different, like we'll keep searching. Then you found another potential, and you like emailed them like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I found this person.
They came up quick. I went on Facebook. I posted. Somebody contacted me. I'm like, oh my God, this person looks great.
Yeah.
In the sense of like, they've been through multiple surrogacy rounds before. Successful births. Like, there's a record there.
Yeah.
And they're within what we can afford.
Mm-hmm.
And like everything seemed to line up with those preliminary things that you look at.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt really positively about it just right off the bat.
Yeah. So we in our minds, we're still working with this agency and consulting firm. And then like a couple days after you send that email, no call, no communication about the conversation we had with GC number 2, where we sort of decided things weren't going to work. They just emailed us and were like, oh, I guess we can't work together because we were really uncomfortable with the conversation that you had with this potential surrogate. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, this is our journey. Like, we know this person. Like, this is why are we not allowed to be have open and honest conversation, like adult to adult? And like, why do you have so much control? It felt so weird.
It did. And
it was like elementary school. It was like, you stepped out of line, go to the back of the line. I don't know. It was just, I don't know. I mean, I felt really uncomfortable.
I did too. I feel very uncomfortable about that because it's not like it was laid out as this rule that we weren't allowed to talk to the surrogate about certain things. That's not a law. Right. That's not in anything. Like, that was never expressed, for one.
Right.
And two, like, the potential surrogate had expressed to us candidly that she wanted direct communication with us, and she wasn't comfortable with this agency consultation company middleman thing because it was mixing up information. It wasn't it felt impersonal to her, and it felt impersonal to us too.
Yeah.
That's why we wanted to go independent.
Yeah, exactly. And it was weird because there were also like 2 things in the email that were like just completely false. Like they said that we wanted to skip the psych screening or something, and I was like,
That is not true.
that is not true at all. Like, where did you hear that information, and why didn't you ask us about this before? Just like
So there just wasn't any like
dropping.
Yeah,
I don't know. It was like so confusing. So, anyways, and I wrote back, and I was like, there are things that are wrong. Like, there's some
in your record.
misunderstanding. Like, I don't know how you heard that. Also, if you heard that, why would you not contact us and clarify? Like, what, instead of just like coming to a decision, just like drop it. And I was like, because the end of their email was like, there's no hard feelings, like no animosity towards you. And I'm like, well, I don't feel like that great towards you. Like, we haven't had a conversation. Like,
Yeah, that
the
was
wording
the
is
most
like,
bizarre thing.
it's like the wording was all like pretty and like businessy and like formal and whatever. But I was like, but the actions like didn't like really meet up to that. The prose was really good, but like the action behind it was not. And so I was like, I can't really say that I'm feeling great about this. I would love to hear more of your perspective. I think if we hop on a call, maybe we can like both come to an understanding. They haven't emailed us back, and it's been like 3 weeks. So
no
I don't
comment.
think we're getting that clarity anytime soon or ever. But
it was just so bizarre.
it was just so weird. Yeah, I was like, and then ultimately we were like, okay, it's probably just better just to do this on our own.
Like,
and like
even if
not
a
have
company
anybody
did offer to help, I'm like, I am so wary.
I'm like over
of
it.
Agencies.
Yeah, I'm over
and
it.
Consultation like at this point, like
I don't know
why.
Now we're on to essentially like a third, potential candidate, looking really, really great. Super excited.
I mean, it's been 2 weeks, and
we did all the stuff they did
we
in
did
6.
all the stuff
that they did in 6. I don't understand.
I'm not saying that we're better, but it's just helpful when you have clear communication between two parties.
Yeah.
Like, it's so easy. I mean,
it's
not easy, but it's clear. It's like, hey, we need these documents. Cool, I'm sending them. Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's wait to hear back. 2 days later, documents came in. Great.
Yeah.
Are they cleared? Yes. Perfect. Next step.
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe something will happen and, things fall through. But like, so far, very excited.
Yeah. The medical records today, we got an email that the medical records are cleared.
Yep.
Which means
cleared.
we can move on to physical screening.
Yeah.
And we've already talked about benefits and
we had
the things that were so complicated in the last go. Like, everything was just same page, clear. This is good.
Yeah, we just went over all the fees together, the things, because she's been a surrogate before, so
Perks.
she already knew kind of like the line items and like the process and things like that. So yeah, I'm feeling very hopeful about it right now.
Hopeful.
And hoping that in season 2 we'll have more to share.
More updates on that.
Yeah, more to share on like, hopefully things are going well and like maybe we're transferred already and things are on the up and up. So I don't know. That's kind of what I'm hoping season 2 entails, is like, now we're in it. Now we're pregnant. Now we're like going through the motions and trying to figure out, I don't know, doing all the exciting milestones, going down for embryo transfer, doing the ultrasounds, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to work out in my mind like the possibilities of what, from the consultation company, the surrogacy agency side of things, what makes sense. And the only thing I can think of is that, coming at it from this press angle, maybe they had the specific vision in mind of what they wanted to do with us, and that involved like the surrogacy agency really carrying us through this process and kind of showing this like rags to riches type story, where they're taking this couple that couldn't really afford surrogacy.
It couldn't. I mean, like,
and I'm doing the
like,
quotation marks with my hands because
Yeah.
it's expensive, but there are a lot of things you can cut out, like agency fees. So like, we're looking at that, and they're, I don't know, it's weird because they're packaging up this thing that you don't really need and being like, we're giving this to you as a charitable offering, and this is going to lead for good press for us, but we
don't want you involved.
Yeah, but we're like, no, we want to go through the process in this way. We want to be involved. We want to be in the know and talking with this potential surrogate. We want a relationship. you know?
Yeah.
And they kind of saw that, and I think they just decided, no thanks.
Yeah.
We don't want that. That's not the story we're looking for.
Yeah, maybe.
And
C'est la vie.
like, granted, I think that they had an idea of what our compensation and benefits was supposed to look like from this press angle.
Yeah.
And they did not want to walk forward with us on a
Also-
different route.
Also, like, it seems like there's a very, like, industry set standard for surrogate compensations. And in the, like, 5-ish years ago, it was, like, not like that at all, I guess. Talking to people who did surrogacy 4, 5,
definitely.
6 years ago, and the potential match, our potential gestational carrier who had done surrogacy before. It's like, they were saying that it's really changed. Like, the whole industry has really changed. And I feel like we've been kind of like been made to like feel guilty that like we're not super comfortable with like that compensation for like a single embryo transfer. And it's like that, but if I want our child to have like a sibling, then I have to do that all over again. You know what I mean? Like that base comp plus the insurance, plus the benefits, plus the whatever, blah, 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 blah. It's like, it's not that I'm not comfortable with compensating someone. It's just that financially, I don't know if we would be able to do this again in the next like 8 years, you know?
Yeah.
'Cause it's taken a long time to just like save all this up in general.
Right.
And so I think that was our biggest thing, is like, ideally we would like 2, you know? If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But right now we have the option to have 2, where our kid could have a sibling. I think that was the biggest thing for me. It was just like forecasting forward.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it's not that I don't think that they're deserving, but I also don't think that like this is just sort of an arbitrary number that everybody in this industry has decided is necessary.
You can throw out the value 20,000. You can throw out the value of 100,000. You can
Literally.
throw out any value in between, and there are surrogates in every number in between.
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
That are
like
happy and doing it for the right reasons, and that's the base comp that they just want or ask for, or you know, have figured out.
If that's what the surrogate is asking, that's fine. I just feel like the industry, the agencies, and everybody are all sort of like on the same page of like, this is the base fee, and then like if you aren't comfortable with that and you're under it, then it's like I've kind of been made to feel
but
guilty.
Not really. I think there's tiers for one, and I think there's pockets like just around the country. I think you'll find base comps with agencies in some states are $10,000 or $15,000 less on average.
Maybe, I don't know.
It's possible. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely around there.
Okay.
Because I'm just looking at
price
sheets.
I just know that some of the communications that we got back were like, you know, that compensation is kind of low.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which is like, according to who? Like,
right.
Literally according to you, that compensation is low. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if it were way higher than that, then I would say that's kind of high. But it's like it's so subjective.
And the compensation in Canada is 0.
And the compensation in Canada is 0. And my cousin's compensation for his surrogate was 0. Just she wanted to know what it was like to be pregnant. She just didn't want a kid. You know?
So I just like
I don't know. It's like I don't like the guilt. I feel like there's a guilt thing, and it's like I know that once you're a parent, you feel all like everybody's guilting you about how you're doing everything already, and I'm feeling that in the process, which I'm sure there is.
Yeah, I'm fighting those feelings too. Yeah,
you know, like,
I get that. Pangs of guilt. I felt so guilty when this came to a head, and was thinking like, why can't I afford this or figure it out, or why? Like, I don't know, falling into this trap of, oh my God, is it my fault? Am I messing this up? But it's no, you just can't. We couldn't possibly afford it and go forward thinking that this was going to be a good decision for our future family.
Right. Yeah. So anyways,
those
are our feelings. We feel like that.
Yeah. So I don't know, just like gaslighting yourself into this guilt trip of
not being good enough,
not being enough.
Like, yeah.
Love that for us.
What else do you want to talk about? I mean, that was pretty much.
Well, I just feel really positively of where we've gotten to over the last couple of weeks of like I said, you go up and up and up and hope, and then everything drops down. We've gone through a few of those this summer and into the early fall, and then now we're on potential surrogate number 3. Things are looking good. We just got the medical records back saying, okay, move forward. Like, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
3rd time's a charm, right?
I think I hope so.
I hope so.
I'm feeling good. I mean,
I feel like we're trying this process every which way with
literally.
with agencies, without agencies, with consultation help, without consultation help, now fully independent. Like, yeah. Tiptoeing but positive. And I had this conversation with the potential surrogate recently too, potential surrogate number 3, saying like, hey, we feel a little bit jaded just like some of the situations that have come up, and we don't want to, like, I just voicing like, this is really great and I'm happy that we're connecting and things are lining up, and everything could fall through tomorrow. Like, we don't know. Like, one result could come back and be like, nope, not gonna happen. So just being cognizant and trying to self-regulate, not get too attached too fast.
That's what I was gonna say is you want to express how like excited you are about the process. You want the other person to kind of get the warm fuzzies, right, from you if they're going to be carrying your child.
Yeah.
And vice versa, like you want to get a good feeling from them, and obviously there's a bunch of questions that we're asking. But yeah, it can be a little bit tough because it's an emotional process even if you're not that far into it.
Right.
And I think that's what happened with number 2 is that it was a number of weeks, I can't remember how many, that we're sitting, we're talking, we're
6 weeks.
We're texting back
Total.
and forth, and we're talking about this, and they're like thinking into next year about travel plans and making adjustments and talking to their family members, and then it ultimately doesn't work out, and that's just sort of an awkward and like not super fun position for either party to be in.
No.
You know, so it's not easy. When people say it's not easy. Everybody's fine, everybody's healthy, everybody's okay, but
yeah,
it can take a little bit of like a
oh my god
mental gymnastics to kind of like get invested and then divest and then invest and then
it can
divest
feel really
and,
defeating and hopeless at times, or just a frustrating cycle. And I'm trying not to get too down on it, because it can be pretty easy to be like, this is just, excuse my French, but
baloney.
There you go.
That's Italian.
No, I don't have to censor that, but you can fill it in with whatever words you'd like. So it's just, it can be kind of messy.
Well, thanks for coming to our therapy session where we get to air all of our feelings about the last 6 weeks.
There's been a lot of loose ends and things that have been needing to get tied up. So, apologize for the wait on talking about everything that's been happening this summer, but
that's life, folks.
I'm actually, happy to share now of where we're at. So other life things, man, we've been really busy with travel video blogs and all the photo editing and article writing and all that, like content creator stuff. It's crazy. It's up and down. It's not
very down right now.
Not consistent.
Very down
not
right
consistent.
now.
Yeah. So we all know Michael's a dentist part-time.
Yep.
And considering going to,
so
I mean, still part-time, but
I started this job, and as I was talking, they were like, I think it'd be best if you just started 2 days a week, because it seems like you guys are really busy, and then if you feel comfortable moving up. The reason I left my first job is because I was working 4/10s and it was super exhausting. I didn't have any time or energy to go to the gym. My just quality of life, that job was
hard,
really difficult. And in this region, that company is just known for being kind of tiresome to work for. Loved my coworkers to the moon and back. Had kind of a difficult time, saying goodbye. But ultimately, knowing that wasn't where I wanted to be forever. I'm now where I think I want to be forever. And I started at halftime, but I think I'm ready to like be a dentist a little bit more. Just a little bit. So
yeah.
just going to go from 2 to 3 days,
And
which I haven't even told my boss about. So hopefully, you know, if she listens to the podcast, here you go. We'll talk this week.
yeah, there you go. I started doing, you know, the nursing stuff more this season,
Right.
which is good. I don't know if I'm gonna find something else after this or what. You know, vaccinations is only for a period of the year.
It's just sort of like a per diem thing,
Correct.
right? Like
yeah,
you're just
picking up shifts,
little shifts with this company
when I can.
Yeah.
When I can and I'm available. So, yeah. I don't know.
But you
Work
seem to
is
enjoy
changing.
it.
I do. It's really
like
nice.
You kind of come back, and it's different because like when you worked at the hospital, like at the
it felt similar
critical
to
care.
Your first job that you're talking about. Exhausting. You had 410s, I had 312s.
Yeah.
But I would be completely dead the
like
whole next day. I 6 days out of the week, I'd be a zombie.
Yeah. But then this one, it's like you kind of come back and you're like, I got to poke 40 people today. And you're like kind of like jazzed about it.
Yeah.
So that's nice to at least see. It's nice to see like at least some version of that career, like kind of being manageable and like fun.
Yeah,
so,
totally. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a nice little like reintroduction. And then, yeah, who knows? I don't know where you want. I don't know what you were thinking of. What
I don't know.
If you want to do anything else, like in the near future, or
I am really loving like the travel writing and photography stuff too. The more I do of that, the more
just a renaissance man.
I just love it.
He can do it all.
He can do it all. Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. I don't know.
I don't think we have anything from Maybelline.
No.
But if you want to sponsor this podcast, we can sure try.
Then Michael wouldn't have to go back to work 3 days a week.
Oh my God. Stop.
Oh, Christmas is coming around the corner.
I think it's a testament to like, you know, when you actually enjoy your job a little bit, you know,
then you can do more of it.
When you feel like you're appreciated, when you feel like you're being compensated correctly, when you feel like you have a good benefit structure, like, I don't know, it's not that bad.
Yeah. I'm doing a lot of photography, a lot of travel writing, and I got to figure out more ways to monetize that or make an income from it so that I can keep doing it, because otherwise it's not gonna pan out.
Right.
I'm good at it. It's fun.
Yeah.
I like it. We'll see if I can get paid for it.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing. It's like I can't put a podcast out twice a week. That's just not feasible.
Twice a week?
No, I'm just saying, like,
why would we do twice?
No,
Michael?
I'm just saying it's not feasible. You're not getting, you know, it's like,
yeah,
you got to figure out a way to make a living.
We got to stop. We got to stop for a bit. Take a break.
Take a little break through the holidays.
Spend more time with our animals. They're all over us. Yeah. They're obviously starved for attention right now.
I'm going to go to my sister's for Thanksgiving, which I'm stoked about. Get to see her 2 little girls.
And then we're going back to South Dakota to see your family for New Year's.
Yeah.
Doing Christmas with my family here in Oregon. So that's great. Now you know everything that's happening in our lives.
Everything that's happening. Okay. Well, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out with us in our living room again today.
For more updates on what we're up to, I also started one of those digital channels on Instagram. If you go to our profile on Instagram, there are Michael and Matt Life Updates channel. You click that, you join it. We send new posts on there. We send polls and little interactive fun things.
Yeah.
So just a little bit more extra fun stuff with us, especially while we're down.
Less pressure.
Yeah. Just constant sharing.
Yeah.
But it's a fun way to stay connected while we're on hiatus and waiting for the holidays to end so that we can start the podcast again.
Yay.
And hopefully have more updates.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we'll definitely have updates. I just hope we have good updates.
I hope we have good updates. I know. Well, be sure to leave a review, a rating, 5 stars. We don't want to see anything other than 5 stars. If you're going to do that, go somewhere else. And
I don't know. I feel like we could have pissed off a few agencies today.
Oh, well, leave a comment on why you think you're good at your job.
Jesus, he's coming for blood. Seriously, I don't know if we can publish this.
It is Halloween.
God.
Spooky.
Yeah. No. I was saying the other day, I'm like, I don't think I'm getting on any agency's nice lists recently.
No.
Because I'm advocating for people to like take ownership and go independent if they can.
Save money for their children.
Agencies hate me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well.
I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry.
Okay. Let's wrap it up. Land the plane. Until next time.
Daddies. Wait, really? Are we ending here?
Follow us on all the things. Do all the things.
We'll
Leave
see
the
if we
ratings.
actually take a 2-month break. We might be back for a surprise episode here and there.
Okay.
Who knows?
Okay, perfect.
Ooh.
But until next time,
Daddy's
Daddy's out.
out.